Hey everybody, another GMG review. Today we're taking a look at Warhammer 40,000 Kill Team Ashes of Faith. What a great name. The new two warbands introduced in the, I guess, in-between seasons box set release, this campaign box set release for Warhammer 40k Kill Team, featuring the Inquisitorial agents and a Chaos cult. And these might be the two most interesting, wacky kill teams that have been released so far. They are very flexible and varied. They include a massive number of miniatures that come in the box set, and you can check out my review of the box set itself and the campaign system in a separate review video today, which I'll link up here in the cards, going through the separate campaign rulebook as well as an overview of the models themselves, because it's a cool selection of models and you need them because there's a lot of options in here. There's a lot of options in here. So in this box set, you're going to get every single miniature you need for the Chaos Cult and up to 2 auxiliary options along with your Inquisitorial agents. Now, the only disappointment I have is you don't get the miniatures, you don't get a full selection of Inquisitorial agents, warband miniatures. You can play them as their entirely own warband, and you don't have the ability to build the entire selection of miniatures out of this single box because the Hexorcist and the Mystic have the same frame, as do the Penal Legionnaire and the Gunfighter. So or not the Penal Legionnaire and there's somebody else. It's the Deathworld agent. You can't build the same one. The Gunfighter does not share a body, actually. It's the Inquisitorial agent and the Penal Legion agent and the Deathworld veteran, Sergeant Stone, who is a reimagining of a classic Inquisitor miniature, which I think is super cool. So you basically have all of these different ancillary groups you can take. Provided in the box, you get the Sisters of Silence and the Tempestus Scions. But any of the previous releases, including all of this season's good guys for the most part, which is the Exaction Squad, the Khazarkin, and the Navy Breachers, can be used basically seconded to the Inquisition. The Inquisition just goes, you, come with us. You're space cops now. And they all gain the Inquisitorial agents keyword and join your roster. They also get an enhanced roster size of 30 models, because the Inquisitor gets what the Inquisitor wants, so you can have as many of these on your roster as possible. Very cool name generator, I have to say. I love the Imperial names. So we've got, like, for instance, 46, Voradin, 21, the Unseen as an Inquisitorial agent. Then you get your ident code, Faux Ra, and then so like you could have your investigation principle, the Veiled. So that would mean, where is it? The Veiled is, oh, it's on the next page. No, it's not. You're just called the Veiled. And then your principles, for instance, could be 2, Censure, which is just whatever you want. I guess there's no actual thing about it. Your philosophy would be the Subtle Blade. The kill team exemplifies their paymaster's tenets of swift and silent operations. Your background could be the Witnesses. The Inquisitor first encountered these agents during historic inquiries in which each was exposed to forbidden knowledge. And while they prove useful now, their executions are in abeyance. Basically, they work for you until they die. I love that. And then your base of operations could be like an Aquila orbital lander. You just fly around in swift Aquila shuttles. Your gun cutters. And then the cult, of course, has their own cool rules. They are a lot of miniatures. It basically combines the Cultist, which is the Devotees box, with the Command box. So you have the 2 Blessed Blades, the Mind Witch, the Iconarch, and the Cult Demagogue available. You get 10 Devotees, and then the Mutants and Torments are actually off to one side, because variously throughout the game, you mutate your Devotees into bigger and freakier mutants. So your Torments and your Mutants don't stay on there. Basically, the leadership of the warband starts like screwing with you, and you slowly turn into bigger monsters throughout the course of the game. Also cool names, so like, for instance, 13, Dalton, 44, the Putrescent. We've got 36, which is Fuella, Zufrin. And then your kill team name, your heretical signifier, you could be Damascenes, and then your the second one is of the Blade Sphere would be a name. Your squad Kirk could be things like Hunter Skinners. These cultists have perfected a nightmarish but swift and efficient manner of skinning their screaming victims alive. Your background, Unbridled Ambition. The kill teams was ashamed of their lust to rise higher in the cult's echelon, so they're unashamed of their lust to rise higher. Those already among the leadership, keep a wary eye on them. Everyone's competing. And then your operations could be like a Hivespire barracks, ostensibly forming the private army of a loyalist scion of the local nobility. The skill team enjoys a veneer of legitimacy, and all the resources their corrupted patron can siphon to the cause. That's cool. So let's jump in. There is a lot to go through here. So, well, actually, a lot and a little at the same time. The Inquisitorial Agent kill team can be taken two ways, either as a 12-person kill team or a 7-person kill team with ancillary support option. So a bit like the way you could take 4 extra veteran guardsmen in the veteran guardsman kill team, this kill team can either be a full 12-man Inquisitorial Agents kill team. You always have 1 interrogator and 1 tome skull, and then you can have up to 10 operatives or 5 if you're taking ancillary support, which you probably will. And they're selected from Auto Savant, Quest Keeper, Deathworld Veteran, Enlightener, Gun Servitor, with either a Heavy Bolter, Multi-Melta, or a Plasma Cannon, and then a Hexorcist Mystic, Penal Legionnaire, and a Pistolier. Everybody can be taken at least once, but you can have 2 Gun Servitor operatives as long as they have different guns. So on the frame, you're going to have the bits to make basically all of this once, because you do get the Tome Skull in addition to the rest of the operatives. Then you have your ancillary support, and that's the 5 Sisters of Silence. If you want, which could be Prosecutors, Vigilators, and Witch Seekers, they're all taken from the core list, so you don't need to see the rules for any of these. Or the Scions. Basically, it's everybody available except the leader, right? So you get Comms, Gunners, and then the Medic and Trooper for the Scions. If you want to take an Exaction Squad, again, you can have a Castigator, a Chirurgeon, I think you have 2 Gunners, yeah. You can have Subductors, you can have a Leashmaster, Malactor, Marksman, Revelator, Subductors, Vigilance, Vox, Signifiers, or Cybermastiffs. So 1 of each. And you get 5 models. Kazarkins, 5 models, all the gunner options, a medic, a demo troop, a recon trooper, a sharpshooter, or Vox trooper. Unlimited troopers, but everybody else, again, except for the gunner, you can only have once. Navy Breachers is 6 as well. So it's 5 and 5 for all these previous ones. It's 6 for Navy Breachers and 6 for Veteran Guardsmen. Which would actually take you to 13 models overall, which is interesting. You get the Armsman, Axejack, Cat Unit, Endurant, Geist, Skull, Grenadier, Gunner, Hatchcutter, Surveyor, and Voidjammer. So you almost wouldn't want to take the Cat Unit or the Geist Skull because they eat into that 6-model thing. Other than the Armsman operatives, this ancillary support can only include each above unit once. It can only include a Geist Skull operative that has a Voidjammer, and Cat if it has a Surveyor. And then your Veteran Guardsmen, it's Bruisers, Comms, Demos, Gunners, Hardened Vets, Medics, Snipers, Troopers, and Zealots. You get some unique TAC ops. So for instance, Seize for Interrogation is one. You can reveal this TAC op when an enemy operative that's more than blue from the enemy operative is incapacitated. Before you remove from the kill zone, place one of your interrogation tokens underneath it. You can then pick it up while not in engagement. At the end of the battle, if friendly operatives control your interrogate token, you score a VP. And if friendly operatives carrying the interrogate token, you score a VP. Basically, you take them away to interrogate them. So snatch and grab. No witnesses. If every enemy operative has been incapacitated, you score 2 VPs. Note that this TAC op only has 1 condition. Kill them all. I love that TAC op. And then Investigation Lead. The second time your investigator performs the Investigate Lead action, you score a VP. At the end of the battle, if you do it again and he hasn't been incapacitated, you score a VP. So investigating a league, an investigator can perform this action while it controls an objective marker that hasn't been investigated. If it does so, the objective marker has been investigated. And you can't do it while you're engaged. So it's just a 1 AP action to go look at something. You have to look at least 3 markers to get 2. And then your abilities, you have the Inquisitorial Agent, Inquisitorial Mandate. They have a maximum roster size of 30, and then everybody gets the Inquisitorial Agent keyword when they're added. So these guys they're no longer Veteran Guardsmen or Kazarkin, but any reference to that keyword on their data slate and on there becomes Inquisitorial Agent. So like if it said, if like your comms guy had to choose another Veteran Guardsman, you'd choose Inquisitorial Agent instead. Which is kind of interesting because it means that I'm pretty sure your comms veteran could then give actions to the other people in the kill team, which I think is interesting. All right, strategic ploys. So you get Denounce for a CP, and this is for the turn, obviously. Select one enemy operative and roll a d3. In the firefight phase of this turning point, that enemy operative is treated as having a group activation of 1 and cannot be activated or perform actions until it's the last model to go. Very powerful. Or a number of enemy operatives have been activated equal to the result of a d3 roll, whichever comes first. You can only use this strategic ploy once per round. So you just call somebody out and you make them go d3 times later, potentially, if they're in like an important position. Intense scrutiny for 1 CP until the end of the turning point. When determining line of sight to each friendly Inquisitorial agent operative, enemy operatives within 2 are treated as having an engage order. So everybody's basically just like, I love that. They're basically just always engaging. And then Quarry, 1 CP. Select one enemy troop operative to be the Quarry until the end of the turning point. Each time a friendly Inquisitorial agent operative fights in combat or makes a shooting attack against them, in the roll attack dice step of the combat or shooting attack, you can reroll one of your attack dice. And then if the enemy operative is removed from the kill zone, you can select another Quarry until the end of the turning point immediately. So basically you just chain down. That's a really valuable one against like larger wound count, bigger, like, you know, Custodes Marines. Like, you don't have that many models, but they have tons of wounds, factions. And then Irrefutable Jurisdiction for 1 CP. Select one objective marker until the end of the turning point. Each time a shooting attack is made against a friendly Inquisitorial agent operative within 2 of that marker, in the roll defense dice, you can reroll one of your defense dice. So you have like offensive with Quarry, get rid of like guys hiding with intense scrutiny, and denounce to slow down like a rampaging supermodel. Tactical Ploys, Embedded Agent. Select and reveal your scouting option after your opponent reveals theirs. So both players would do this, select and reveal as normal. After revealing your scouting option, select and resolve one additional one. It must be different option to your original selection, and initiative still determined by original selection. That's really cool. So basically, like, you have a spy out there, and it helps you to seize the first turn or get an extra like barricade or something. Absolute Authority. Used during the battle when an opponent uses a strategic ploy or tactical ploy. Their ploy is not used. The command point they spent on is refunded, and they cannot use it again during this turning point. Note that you cannot use a tactical ploy outside the battle, like in the scouting step. So that's pretty amazing. Just be like, yeah. So you want to reroll? Sorry, can't reroll. That's huge. And you can't use it at all until the next turning point. So like the first time someone uses that turn just for one, just be like, no, can't reroll. Sorry. Or like, you know, what is it? The Marine ones where it's like the Devastator Doctrine or the Assault Doctrine. Those are super powerful, and you just stop them from getting used. Relentless in Pursuit. Use tactical ploy after an enemy operative performs a fallback action. Select a friendly Inquisitorial agent operative that's within the enemy operative's engagement range before it moved, but is no longer within an engagement range. That friendly operative can then immediately make a free action, but other than the dash action, cannot perform an action which it moves. So no charges and stuff like that, but you can definitely like shoot them or dash or whatever. It's a free action. And then the Emperor's Will. Uses tactical ploy when a friendly Inquisitorial agent operative is activated. Until the end of the turning point, you can ignore all modifiers to their characteristics, including modifiers of weapons, which is crazy. So like, you just shrug it off because the Emperor says like, no, we go, we kill. And then we finally got our actual like data slates. So now the core data slate's pretty much the same across everybody. Armor save changes kind of frequently, but the actual like human stat line is pretty much the Guardsman stat line, because these are just dudes, right? So defense 3, 5+ save, and 7 wounds is the average, with 3 movement, 2 AP, and a group activation of 1, because they're all supposed to be like mini heroes, right? Extra wound on the Interrogator. They're not super fighty. Like, you kind of need your ancillary stuff for your big guns. He's got an extended stock auto pistol. This is your hero. And fists. He's got 3 attacks, 4+, 2/3 damage, and then he's got close range, long range for his pistol. It hits better at close range. So basically, once you're within 6, it hits on 3s. He's got a consecrated tome. When you select him to deploy, you also select either Denunciation or Sanctification ability for it to have during the battle, and the friendly Tome Skull operative has the other ability. So Denunciation, each time a friendly Inquisitorial agent operative fights in combat with or makes a shooting attack against an enemy operative within white of this operative, add one of the attack characteristics, he's like your force multiplier, of its weapon. And then Sanctification, each time an enemy operative fights in combat with or makes a shooting attack against a friendly Inquisitorial operative within white of this operative, subtract 1 from its attacks characteristics. So either you add 1 to your friend's attacks within white, or you subtract 1 from enemy attacks targeting your friends within white. So it depends on which one you want, but one of these 2 guys gives you each of those abilities. It's who has what. So they both have a consecrated tome. And then the skull is basically like a 3 wound less 1 AP floaty man. It's the same thing. But he's a machine, so he cannot earn or lose experience points. His AP can never be modified, and he can perform the fallback action for 1 AP. Because he just floats around. So he's a bit slow because he moves 3 with only 1 AP, and he can't dash. And because he's a support unit, he can't only dash, fall back, normal move, or pass. He can make shooting attacks, fight in combat, or provide combat support, and be equipped with equipment or carry anything. So you can't do any of those things. So you can't shoot, can't do mission actions. The Auto Savant has a same core stat line, but a better save of 4+. He's got mechanical appendages with 3 attacks, 5+, 1, 2 damage. He's a Scrivener. Each subsequent time your opponent uses each strategic or tactical ploy, you gain a CP. So every time somebody uses one of those things, after the first, he writes it down, and then you get CPs for them using it, which I think is really funny, but it excludes command reroll. So it's like if the Marine player wants to use the Devastator Doctrine over and over again. And then Chronicle and Narrative Play in the Update Data Slate step. If this operative is not incapacitated, select a friendly Inquisitorial agent operative to gain D3 experience points. So he like is a force multiplier in your campaign missions. And then unique actions. He can submit an irrefutable report for 1 AP, select an objective marker until this operative performs this action again. While this operative is within blue of that objective marker, it dominates it. A friendly operative that dominates an objective marker always controls it regardless of all the other APL of enemy opponents. If the enemy operative would also dominate this objective marker, control is determined as normal. This operative can only perform this action once per battle and cannot perform it while engaged in range of the enemy. So if you really in the last turn just need to dominate objective, you just go, that's mine. The Emperor says it's mine, you just write it down. It's the kill team equivalent of the British putting flags on things for the last like 5 centuries, basically. And then Quest Keeper Agent. So this is, again, the basic human stat line. He's got an auto pistol, an eviscerator. It's a 4+5/6 brutal unrelenting reap 2. This is your melee guy. He's got irrepressible purpose. If this operative is incapacitated in combat, you can strike with one of your remaining attack dice before you go away. He's got a 5+ wound shrug. And then he's unrelenting. Each time a friendly operative fights in combat with his weapon, if you're the attacker, reroll one of your attack dice because he's got a giant chainsaw, so of course he's dangerous. And then we got Sergeant Stone, the Death Rolled Agent. He's got his auto pistol, just standard auto pistol, a knife, which is 1 attack, 2+, 5/7, lethal 5+. I like that his knife is that dangerous. And if he's fighting a horde, he's got 4 attacks, 3+, 4/5 damage, and reap 2 at the pole arm. He's a hunter. He can perform charge when he's concealed, and he's weathered. Once per turning point, when this operative fights in combat, and the resolve successful hit steps, you can ignore the damage from a normal hit. So if nobody crits you, just ignore one, because you have a giant metal plate instead of a skull, because a Catachan, like, devil ate it. And then your Enlightener Agent, this is your, like, torture man. He's got the standard stat line. His prayer blades are 4 attacks, 3+, 3/5 balanced, rending, and cripple. Cripple means each time this operative fights in combat with this weapon in the resolve successful hit step, if strikes with a crit, the enemy operative is injured until the end of the battle. It's just injured, and it's regardless of any rules that say it cannot be injured. This guy knows where to cut you. And then finally, no escape. Each time an enemy operative falls back from him, roll a d6, and -1 if the operative has a higher wound characteristic than this operative, and adding 1 if the operative is injured. On a 4+, they cannot perform the action, but the attack action subtracted are not, the AP is not refunded. Basically, you hamstring someone and they can't fall back from you. And then you have your Gun Servitor. He's got 11 wounds and a 4+ save as opposed to the human stat line, but only 1 AP, which is a big deal. He can't move and fire very well. Heavy Bolter, Melta, and Plasma Cannon are all standard stat line. His Servo Claws, 3 attacks, 4+, 4/5 damage. And he's lobotomized. Each time his operative is activated, if it's visible and within blue of a friendly Inquisitorial agent, he gets an AP. So you can make him AP too as long as he's got a friend to tell him what to do. Your Hexorcist, who's a fire starter, twisted fire starter, has a standard human stat line, a shotgun, which is short ranged with 4 attacks on 3+, 3/3 damage. And then he's got his sweet fists attack, which is just 3 attacks, 4+, 2/3. He can Hexorcise. Each time an enemy operative is visible to and within red of this operative fights in combat or makes a shooting attack, your opponent cannot re-roll their attacks or defense dice for that combat or shooting attack. So he just picks somebody. Like within, actually anytime anyone's within red of him, he just turns off all their buffs. Now, he can't turn off weapon abilities, right? Because they're not actually abilities, but he'll remove their ability to use, like, let's say, the medic ability or something like that. He just freaks him out with his freaky hair and the fact that I think he's got a shotgun shell in his mouth, or like an Oscar Mayer wiener. I'm not really sure what's going on there. The Mystic is, again, the core stat line, just an auto pistol and fists. They count as 1 higher AP because they're waving the big Inquisitorial eye. And then their unique actions are psychic actions, either Divine Guidance or Divine Protection. One applies to attack dice. You can turn a miss into a hit or a hit into a crit in an attack roll for someone within red of the operative, or vice versa. You can pick somebody within red of the operative and have them do the same for defense dice. So a failed defense roll becomes a pass, and a pass could become a crit for one of the dice. And that's it. They're kind of like your support piece. The Penal Legionnaire agent, again, the human style line. He's got a hand flamer, though, which has Torrent black and range red with 5 dice, 2+, and then 2/2 damage. And a Chainsword, just a standard one, 4 attacks, 4+, 4/5 damage. His Chem Mask means he ignores his any like modifiers to his characteristics, and he's unaffected by stun. And he's cruel. He rerolls all his attack dice to someone who's got less remaining wounds than him, which is sweet. Then we have the Pistolier, who's a very cool miniature. Again, same core human stat line. He's got a scoped plasma pistol. It's a regular plasma pistol, except it can be fired outside of red at 4 attacks, 4+, 4/5 damage with AP1. And then a suppressed auto pistol, which has the silent rule. So it's a standard auto pistol, but with silent, which means you can fire it from concealed. He's a Pistolier, so you can ignore any and all modifiers to his ballistic skill. And then he's got Pistol Barrage for 1 AP. Make a shooting attack with the Scope Plasma Pistol and the Suppressed Auto Pistol in any order. And it counts as his shoot action, but he can't do it if he has a conceal order. So he can't use the silent part of it. He's just going to shoot that one at a line of fire. And then conveniently, they do give you the stat lines for the models that came in the Ashes of Faith box. So you get your Prosecutors and your Temesta Scions. I didn't notice anything different, except the reason I know that you changed the keywords to reference, like for the other kill teams, to that is because they've done it here. So it like the signal means that it's a change to Inquisitorial agent. Same with these ones. So the isn't like an explicit description of it in the Navy Breachers and the Veteran Guardsmen sections, but in here. For this kill team, the operatives in these options have their faction keyword placed in all instances of their data cards to Inquisitorial agent. So the fact that it normally you would think that would just mean down here, like Anathema Psychana or whatever, they've actually changed it. They've added the Inquisitorial agent, right, to all of these, right, on top of it. So when they say all instances, they do mean all instances, which means you can use your medic abilities and what other abilities you have. And then equipment, you get an armored bodysuit for 2. It's anybody with a 5+ save. Basically, one of your saves that's a 4 can get counted as a pass. It doesn't improve your save. It just means that a single dice roll of 4 gets, like the underlay basically catches the bullet. You get a 4+ invul with a refractor field for 3. Get one of them. A servo skull. Once per turning point, you can do a mission action for 1 less AP because they send the skull to go do it. A mastercrafted auto pistol, it's select 1 auto pistol or extended auto pistol, and you get to add 1 to both its damage characteristics. So this is Inquisition operative only, which I think is pretty amazing. There are 2, which means 5 of them could have this. It means your extended stock auto pistol becomes 3/4 damage, which is not a bad gun. You get super weapons basically. And then you get a power knife. It's 3 attacks, 4+, 3/5 damage, lethal 5+ for one of your Inquisitorial agents. That's not an auto savant or a mystic. You can have a frag grenade, crack grenade, stun grenade, smoke grenade, which are all pretty standard. So you can up gun and up melee guys. You still get your 10 points of equipment though, and you can only take the refractor field once. Cool Spec Ops rules. So Battle Hunters, proficient. Which is like you can get a battle honor for something that you didn't specialize in. Firm Resolve, ignore all your modifiers, JPL, and movement. Rare equipment, things like Tangle Grenades, Promethium Rounds. The weapon gains the Splash 1 crit hit rule. Or Digi-Lasers, which I think is awesome. And then assets are things like an Inquisition Chamber. After each game you win, after the spec, and after each spec op you complete, you can select 1 Inquisitorial agent, just earn an extra XP. Just go and learn in the think tank. And then we're on to the Chaos Cult Kill Team. So this one is, again, very unique, like because you have transforming models. You can have a Cult Demagogue, 2 Blessed Blades, 10 Chaos Devotees, an Iconarch, and a Mind Witch. So no choices here. It's the 5-man command squad and 10 devotees. Now, how many mutants and torments do you need? I don't know. Probably a few, though. So painting up the boxes that come in Ashes and Faith will definitely give you enough to cover however many you get during a game. You got 3 Tac Ops. Tear Through, reveal at the end of the battle. If you have a friendly Torment operative within white of one of your opponent's drop zones, you score BP. If you have a different friendly Torment within white, then you score BP. Basically, if you manage to get dudes fully transformed and in their deployment side, you're going to get 2. Profane Defilement. If a friendly Cult Demagon, Iconarch, and Mind Witch operative start and end the turning point within blue of the center of the kill zone, score BP. If you achieve the first condition any subsequent turn, get 1. So basically, if you get to the middle of the table with your 3 most important leader models, and you spend the game there, then you get extra VPs. And then finally, Blood Offering. Reveal this Tac Op in the target reveal step of any turning point. For each objective marker, the first time an enemy operative is incapacitated within white of it, place a Blood Offering token on the objective marker. If any friendly operatives perform the Blood Prayer action, score VP. If any friendly options perform the Blood Prayer action in a different objective marker, score VP. So basically, you need to kill someone near an objective and then do this 1 AP action. You can perform this action while it controls an objective marker that has a Blood Offering token on it. If the operative is a Cult Demagogue, it can do it while it's within red as opposed to controlling it. And you can only do it when you're unengaged. All right, abilities. Mutation. During the battle, friendly Chaos Cult operatives can mutate. Each time they do so, they pick one of 3 things. Either turn a devotee into a mutant into a torment, or get D3+1 wounds back. You cannot mutate more than once per turning point, and what you basically get rid of all of your wounds and just become the new model. You put it as close to the center of the old model as possible and replace it. And then when an operative mutates, at the end of the game, it turns back into whatever it was on the data slate, and it also keeps any of its battle honors it has. So effectively, the data slate changes, but all of the surrounding stuff, if you're playing a Spec Ops campaign, stays the same. So all your skills and things you've learned get added to that new model as the Warp Demon takes it over. You can mutate friendly operative as follows. In the strategy phase, when it's your turn to use a strategic player pass, you can instead mutate a number of friendly Chaos Cult operatives equal to the turning point number. So by the end of the game, you'll have mutated once, twice, 3. So once, then twice, which is 3. Plus 3 is 6. Plus 4 is 10. So you're always going to get somebody probably to be a Torment. And then when a friendly operative mutates, at the end of a combat in which a friendly devotee inflicted damage and was not incapacitated, and when a friendly Cult Demagogue performs the Accursed Benediction action. So if you hurt somebody, you get them for free during the turning point. And then whenever you do the Benediction action, you start to mutate and get bigger. So you're probably going to need all those models by the end of the game. And then it gets rid of all of its wounds, or it heals. And then Accursed Gifts. Their abilities that friendly Chaos Cult operatives gain when they mutate into other operative types. The first time a friendly devotee operative mutates into a mutant during the battle, select your first Accursed Gift. The first time a friendly mutant operative mutates into a Torment during the battle, select your second Accursed Gift. All friendly mutant operatives have your first Accursed Gift, and all friendly Torment operatives have your second one. So basically, they're always going to be no matter what the miniature looks like, your cult basically is going to get 2 of these things added together. The mutants all have the first one, and then the Torments have the first one and the second one. So you can be Winged, ignore all modifiers to your movement, and ignore the first white it travels to climb, drop, or traverse. Fleet, add black to your move. Chitness, improve your save by 1. That's really powerful. Horned. Each time this operative finishes a charge action, you can select one enemy operative within engagement range to take a mortal wound or D3 mortal wounds if you're a Torment. Again, really powerful. Sinewed, ignore any modifiers to weapon skill, and you get the Brutal special rule. And then Barbed, this operative's melee weapons gain Reap 1 critical hit or Reap 2 if they're a Torment. I don't know. I think Sinewed and Chitness seem really good. Just +1 save and you're brutal. Being brutal is huge. All right, strategic ploys, you got 4 of them. Exhalation and Pain. Friendly Chaos Cult operatives are not injured. Each time a shooting attack is made against a friendly Chaos Cult operative with less than its starting wounds remaining, reroll one of your defense dice. You just become tougher to kill with guns. And you're a mostly melee kill team, so that makes sense. A Fervent Onslaught. Until the end of the turning point, each time a friendly Chaos Cult operative fights in combat, in the roll attack dice step of the combat, before rolling your attack dice, you can retain 1 as a successful normal hit without rolling it. So basically just be like in cover for melee. And then Creatures of Nightmare for 1 CP. Until the end of the turning point, when determining control of an objective marker that any friendly mutant or torment operatives are within 1 of, or say white of, what I can't even, the circle. Treat the total AP as being 1 less, and it's not a modifier. So basically, like, you're spooky, so there's 1 less AP contesting objectives. And finally, Sickening Aura. While an enemy operative is within white of friendly mutant, torment, or dark commune operatives, worsen the ballistic skill and weapon skill characteristic of that enemy operative by 1. But it's not cumulative with being injured. So you're just kind of auto-injured, but it works on things that can't be injured. So, I mean, Exhalation and Pain is really powerful once you start getting wounded, and you do have a decent wound count, but Fervent Onslaughts, once you've engaged, is crazy. Just get an auto hit. Faithful Follower. As your first tactical ploy, uses tactical ploy when a friendly Cult Demagogue, Iconarch, or Mind Witch operative selected as the target of a shooting attack, and select a friendly Chaos Cult operative, excluding one of the aforementioned that's visible and within white of that operative, and it targets them instead. So basically you can dive in front of, because you really need your character models in this one. You needed a way to kind of protect them, so having 10 Cult Devotees means that you can kind of jump on grenades. Remember, it's only going to be once per round. And then Abhorrent Mutation, uses attack ploy when a friendly Chaos Cult operative is activated. Select an accursed gift for that operative again, and this is an addition to any gifts you have. So you can just give out one of these as well if you want to stack them on a Torments and get extra ones. Frenzied Demise, use tactical ploy when a friendly mutant or torment operative is incapacitated. Inflict D3 mortal wounds or D6 if it's a torment on one of the friendly visible operatives within white of them. And then finally, Unleash the Demon for 1. You can do it to a mutant or torment. It can perform a free fight action or 2 fight actions at activation. So basically, you start freaking out in melee and you get like a 3rd activation. And then we're into our data slates. So again, they're fairly like common in that they all have 3 movement, 2 AP, 1 group activation, def 3 dice on 5+ with 8 wounds. With the exception of the basic devotees that have 7 wounds, everybody's got that stat line, and the devotees have 2 group activation because you got a big warband. Your demagogue has a pistol, and it just says pistol, which I think is funny. Like, it doesn't even specify what kind of pistol. They're the same across the whole like warband. It's 4 attacks, 4+, 2/3 damage, and short range, so range red. He's got a Diabolical Stave, which is 4 attacks, 4+, 3/6 damage, with range white, which is interesting, because you can shoot like lightning from it, and it does stun. And then you can also use it in melee with the same stat line, basically, but in melee. Curse Benediction, which makes you mutate somebody within reds. Induce Slaughter. One friendly Chaos Cult operative visible within red can immediately perform a free fight action. They cannot perform this action while engagement range of an enemy operative, so you can't do it to somebody else while you're also engaged. And then Insight Urgency, a friendly Chaos Cult operative visible and within red can immediately perform a dash or charge. But for the latter, it can do more. You can only go blue to do the charge. And this operative cannot perform this action while it's within engagement range of an enemy operative. Now, Insight Urgency is like a really good one because it's a free dash or charge. So you can take your group activate guys and push them into melee, and you're effectively trading an AP for 2 AP there, which is really efficient. I get 2 of these Blessed Blades. They have a Commune Blade, 4 attacks, 4+, 4/6 damage, lethal 5+. They're basically big power swords. Now they got cut them down each time an enemy operative starts a fallback action with engagement, and they fall back. They take D3 plus mortal wounds. And then Attuned in Purpose. Each time this operative is activated, you can also activate another friendly Blessed Blade operative within red at the same time and complete their actions in any order. So it's very cool. He's not group activate 2, but you can choose to make him so if you want to chain activate him, which is real handy. The Iconarch's got a Burning Censer. It's just a flamer, so 6 attacks, 2+, 2/3 damage with Torrent Blue and range red. Same pistol, and a crude melee weapon. 3 attacks, 4+, 2/3 damage. He has the same Icon Berry, counts an extra AP for contesting objectives. He's got Ruinous Deterioration. Each time an attack dice would inflict damage on an enemy within 2 white of this operative, add 1 to the damage inflicted by the attack dice. So basically, he makes your guys more dangerous. He's a force multiplier. No AP needing to be spent either. He has Ruinous Invigoration. Each time an attack dice would inflict damage on a friendly Chaos Cult operative within 2 white of this operative. Subtract 1 from the damage inflicted by that attack to a minimum of 1. So he's -1 damage to attacks against you, and then +1 damage. So like, and it's an attack dice would inflict damage. So something's like 2, 3 damage, it's -1 per dice, so it becomes 1, 2 damage. That's real good. He's a very cool force multiplier, so you want to keep someone near him to dive in front of him so he doesn't die. And then the Mind Witch, which I think is hilarious. 3 attacks, 5+, 1, 2 damage. He's just, I mean, it's a head in a jar, right? It's a Futurama bad guy. He's got Heinous Deluge for 1 AP. It's a psychic action. Select 1 enemy operative in the operative's line of sight. Subtract 1 from its APL. You cannot perform this while you're engaged. And then Malefic Vortex. Remove your Malefic Vortex token, if any. Then place a Malefic Vortex token in a location that's visible to this operative, or an vantage point of a piece of terrain that's visible to the operative. Each enemy operative within white takes a mortal wound. In addition, at the end of each turning point, each enemy operative within white takes a mortal wound. And you can't perform this action while you're within engagement. So basically, you make a part of the battlefield like a no-go. And then finally, Infernal Gaze. This is last psychic action. Select an enemy operative within red of the operative and in line of sight. The enemy operative suffers a number of mortal wounds based on the closest distance it is to this operative. So if it's in white, D3 plus 5, 2 white, D3 plus 3, and then within red, 3 mortal wounds. And you can't perform this while you have a conceal order or you're within engagement range of the enemy. And that's your basic scrubs. Remember, this guy turns into this guy eventually. The Cult Devotee is just pistol and crude melee weapon, no abilities or unique actions. The Mutant has the same core stat line, but remember, it heals all of its wounds when it goes to this size, which is really important. Has a Blasphemous Appendage, so it's 4 attacks, 4+, 3/4 damage, Relentless for rerolls, and Rending. It's a cursed. Each time it's operative to perform a mission action or pickup action, you must subtract additional AP. So it starts being dumb at picking things up. And then a 5+ wound shrug. And then when you turn to a Torment, you go to 13 wounds. And so you lose your group activate when you're a mutant. Same with the Torment. You get Hideous Mutations. So 5 attacks, 4+, 4/5 damage, Relentless, and Rending. And a cursed, this cannot perform mission or pickup actions, and you drop all your objectives. And light terrain and operatives with a wound characteristic of 11 or less do not provide cover to this operative because you're so big. And then you also have your 5+ wound shrug. So you just get bigger and crazier and more dangerous. And then equipment, you get a frag grenade, crack grenade, a trophy weapon for it's 1 EP. It's devotees only. Select a crude melee weapon or pistol the operative has. Add 1 of the damage of both. And then a Covert Guise, devotee only. The operative gives the following. At the end of the scouting step, if this operative is wholly within your drop zone, you can get a free dash because you were dressed as someone that's trusted. For 2, you get a Chaos Sigil for a 5+ invul, and then a Vile Blessing. The operative gains the following ability in the battle. If they mutate into another operative type, it keeps the following ability. Vile Blessing, once per battle. In the resolve successful hit step of the combat or shooting attack, you can ignore the damage inflicted by this operative from attack dice. And you do it before you make your regeneration rolls, if you have any. So, really neat warband. I love the fact that they transform and they use all these miniatures. I think it's a really cool idea for a Chaos Cult warband. There's no flex in it. It only works the way that it works, like basically out of the box. But the theme is so cool of this like evolving, mutating group of like bad guys that it's perfect. Like I love how wacky these 2 warbands are. Yeah, and then you can get battle honors like Violent Rampage. You can charge while you're engaged. You can get like Noxious Ichor. Your blood can become dangerous. An Obscene Pulpit to shout your prayers from. And then like doing sacrifices for requisitions and stuff too. And that's it. So it is Ashes of Faith, 2 new warbands, and again, 2 wacky warbands with their own campaign systems. You can check that out. Again, it'll be up in the cards. You can check out the review of the actual campaign system. But what a great way to end this season. Like, I love that all of the miniatures in this season are like the kind of represented in this book for the most part for like the Imperial stuff. And it's all like soft white underbelly of the Imperium dudes, right? Like you've got the Cops, you've got the Navy Breachers, and they brought back some classics, obviously, the Sisters and the Tempestus. But they even included the original, the 2018? No, 2020 Kill Team box. Like starter set guys too with the guard veterans. Very like thematic, and I don't know, the models are cool. So I'm stoked. We will be giving this a try for sure. I have the Sisters and the, I'll probably just paint new ones though. I have the Sisters and the Scions painted already, but I'll probably just paint like an all like Inquisitorial warband to go with this and play through the campaign. I'm just gonna find someone who wants to paint the chaos stuff, or maybe I'll just paint it and find someone who just wants to play Kill Team. So thanks for watching. We'll see you for more GMG reviews and Warhammer 40k Kill Team stuff in the future. So I'm Ash. Hey there, I hope you enjoyed that video. There are tons of other games already recorded for you to watch. Click over to my channel page if you haven't already, and have a look through the dozens of playlists full of videos. I guarantee you'll discover a game you haven't seen played before. I put out new videos 7 days a week, and every day is themed to a different genre as I continue to explore the wider world of gaming. Of course, none of that's possible without you, the viewer, so click a like and subscribe if you'd like to stay on top of what's happening here daily. My 2 kids and I are massively grateful to be able to have the flexibility of this job so I can always maximize my time with them. If you want to support me continuing to put out this content, it's only possible because of my amazing backers on Patreon who support the studio, equipment, and model cost, as well as being how I make the bulk of my living. You can also help out by buying a t-shirt through Spreadshirt, a measuring gauge or widget from Death Ray Designs, or buying one of my games and supplements like Last Days, Gamma Wolves, and Blaster. As a way of showing my appreciation, patrons get early access to new games and supplements that I write throughout the course of the year. Huge thanks for watching, it really does help out, and happy gaming.